Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. On tonight's verses, we have Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 coming in at a 40% ABV, no weight statement on the bottle, versus Wild Turkey 101 coming in at a 50.5% ABV, no age statement on the bottle. So, every now and again, I like to search on YouTube and see what people are interested in seeing verses on. And this is one of the things that populated. And I can kind of see why. If you're new to whiskey and bourbon in general, and if you are, welcome, you're going to see these on the shelf at usually somewhat similar pricing. And a lot of times people have feelings towards either bottle. Personally, I am a Wild Turkey fan, as with a lot of people online. But I really wanted to hone in the differences on these. Definitely starting off, we know ABV is a huge difference. That's a little over 10 proofs higher going to the Wild Turkey 101. But higher proof doesn't always mean better. And we know Jack Daniel's goes through their Lincoln County process of the charcoal filtering, but this is technically a straight bourbon. So we know it's at least 2 years old for legality purposes. So I wanted to square these two off to really kind of hone in which side I think is the better starter option for a bourbon. So let's go and hop into things as always. We'll be trying it and comparing it on color. So let's go ahead and jump into things. We're going to be comparing on notes, taste, kind of pick a winner from that point, and then wrap up in the market price section. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. It really helps. And if you're interested in individual reviews over these bottles, they'll be linked up above and down below when they're live, so you can check them out. And again, if you're new to whiskey, I'm doing tons of budget-friendly options to kind of give you some ideas if it's something that's worth purchasing at those price points. Never let anybody shame you for buying budget-friendly stuff. It's your money. Don't let anybody ever do that. Color is pretty darn close. The 101 is a slight tinge darker, but it is very, very close, which is kind of crazy. I didn't expect it to be that close. All right, well, let's start off on notes for the Jack Daniel's. Oh, now this is my first bourbon of the day, but Jack Daniel's for me has this, kind of maples and spice notes for that. A bit of ABV in there, but again, I might just be too early in the morning. Beautiful brown sugars. I love the oak layers in Jack Daniel's. Beautiful. Get a bit of like a dark honey, but I love the spices in there too. Very spice forward. And some people pick up banana, and I can kind of see where they're going with on the nose for banana. It's got kind of a banana peelness to it. But good nose. Very classic Jack Daniel's, which is great. And again, if you're drinking Jack Daniel's neat, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good, solid whiskey. Obviously, we a lot of times think of it as a mixer, but you do you. Doesn't matter what you drink or how you drink it, as long as you enjoy it. Okay, let's go for notes on the Wild Turkey. Surprisingly already, there is a significant difference on the warmth on the nose. This does not smell warm at all. This has some heat behind it. Here, it's very subtle. Beautiful caramels and vanilla in there. Nice solid spice layer as well. Like, you can actually pick out the spices. You got a bit of clove and cinnamon and nutmeg. The vanilla in there is really nice. Like a creamy vanilla. But again, surprisingly, not as warm on the nose. Slight bit of nuttiness in there too. But overall, beautiful oak layers, bit of spice, the vanilla, everything like that is playing very, very well. Back to the Jack Daniel's real quick. Yeah, now I'm getting more of that kind of brown sugar notes. That maple is really popping well. Almost maple syrup, but more like maple wood. And the ABV has kind of tamed down a bit, so that leads me to believe that it's just freshly poured in the glass. As you can see, it's a pretty new bottle for me. I try to keep Jack Daniel's around because it's a good simple mixer for a lot of people. Makes good Jack and Coke. Can't argue with that either. All right, well, let's go for taste on the Jack Daniels. Yeah, that is just nutty maple. Almost like the maple nut goodies candies, where they're like little nuts and it's encased in a hard shell of like maple. I don't know what else to call it. And it's got a bit of nougat on the inside. Beautiful oak layers. Your cinnamon is coming out a little bit as well. The spice layers are what's really lovely in here. The only one I can't pick out is that cinnamon, but all the rest of them kind of cohesive, just like a well mixed up batch of spices in there. Doesn't linger too long on the palate. It's just got this nice vanilla caramel oak layer going on. That maple nuttiness is in there. It's really solid. Jack Daniel's a classic for a reason, and it's because it's nice, simple flavors in there. I'm going to definitely, I'll be one of the many that say that the Lincoln County process has to make a difference on that, because it just is an easy sipper. There's nothing harsh, no ABV on the taste, no off notes. Just simple, sweet, inviting. And again, this is why it makes great for mixers, but it's a really solid sip for neat, especially if you're just starting off in the bourbon game. Okay, let's jump over here to the Wild Turkey 101. Beautiful fruit layers in there right now for me. I'm getting a bit of apple and spices. Oak layers. Very well balanced. A little sweet, a little oaky, vanillas and caramels. But for me, I'm getting this beautiful sweet apple layer. And even though it's 50.5%, it's actually doesn't burn. It doesn't got a big warmth to it. It's very inviting on the palate. Now again, if you are new to whiskey, that's a whole nother story. It's going to take a little bit of acclimating to, I'm sure. But it's a beautiful sip. I love the deep oak layers in here. For that palate at this price range and proof, it's beautiful. It just got everything you want in a classic bourbon whiskey. The oak layers, the vanillas, the caramels, but then you get this beautiful fruity spice note going on, and it's just inviting at that proof. It's got a little warmth on the palate, don't get me wrong. It's always going to, it's 50.5. But it's not an uninviting warmth. It's just classic on there. Man, I'm kind of biased on this. Though I do love Jack Daniels. The Wild Turkey, since I've started my journey, the Wild Turkey has probably been the best budget-friendly option out there that I can recommend to people. And this is why. Do I have to pick a winner? I mean, I'll be honest. It's going to be the 101. It has such a deeper, richer note going on in there with the oak. The spice layers are beautiful. The little bit of fruit sweetness in there really hones in very well. Not that there's anything wrong with the Jack Daniels. It's classic for a reason, and it does a good job. But when it's compared to the 101 just spanks it. It really, truly does. All right. With all that information in mind, let's talk about market price, because we all know market price is market price, and as always, it's going to vary. So in my market here in Indiana, I can find this as cheap as like $19 all the way up to like $25, $26. That's about the same price range I can find Wild Turkey 101. If I go down to like Total Wine, I can pick this up for about 20-ish bucks, maybe $21, all the way up to like 24 to 26 if I just find it locally. So fairly close on its offerings. And because of that, I got to give it to the 101 yet again here as well. The price per ABV and flavors really is showcased so well here. If these are both on the shelf at 25 bucks, pick up the 101. It's beautifully done. It'll still mix great. And again, not that there's anything wrong with the Jack Daniels, but when you really hone in the two, the 101 just really wins it in my eyes. But grab both. Maybe you should find out for yourself which one you like better. But either way, I think they're both very solid sips, but I'm still going to give it to the 101. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Jack Daniels Old No. 7 versus Wild Turkey 101 straight bourbon whiskey. If you have questions about either bottle, go ahead and ask me down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any specific bottles I should put up against each other, also let me know down below. Love doing these A/B comparisons. Helps me learn, helps you make a smart decision at home. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.
You know, and I really like it might not.